All right. Well, we're finally done with it, wrapping it up. Obviously, I didn't do a whole lot of video on issues and everything I ran into and restoring this thing. I clear coated it, and there's a lot of runs and stuff because I was kind of a little bit, I had a little bit of soda whenever I was working on it. So there's a lot of runs and stuff. I just need to wet sand it and kind of buff it and everything. And so basically, here's kind of what I ran into issue-wise, getting this thing going. I hacked, and whenever I say hack, I mean literally I destroyed it. I hacked the crap out of this old ignition switch because it was one of those old styles where it's like a jam nut. So I tried to make like that little indentation, and I was too lazy to bring tools home from work, kept forgetting. So I ended up just hacking it up. Finally brought a Dremel home and finished it up the rest of the way, but as you can see, I slipped here, fucked that up, that. I mean, I'm not happy with this whatsoever. I had to put this throttle cable on. This was off another mower. I put that in the video. The hour meter, I burned it up when tricking the wiring on accident, testing some stuff. Whoops. The lights, that's the OEM wires off the OEM harness going to that switch. This is off another mower too, because I needed one that was longer. But I had it running today finally, off its own power. So basically what I did, obviously I got this brand new ignition switch. I ended up jumping a wire off of the S terminal and I ran it directly to the solenoid because it's still bypassing on my ground. So I ran a remote ground. I grounded the solenoid myself with a red wire because I couldn't find a black one. I'm lazy. So that's what I did there. I ran this white wire directly to the solenoid off the ignition, bypassing every single safety switch that's on this thing because I was trying to bypass them at the end. Obviously, this harness came off the mower that this engine came out of, and I was trying to make it work with the PTO switch, the reverse safety switch, the brake switch. I was trying to trick them all at the actual pigtail itself, and it was pissing me off, so that's what I did. That was my last resort, but I went ahead and went with it just because I wanted to run. I'm tired of messing with it. My next issue I ran into, obviously I had to run a new wire off of the M terminal on the ignition switch directly to the end of the M plug. I didn't want to chop up the harness, so I cut it right before, or the actual harness that goes into the engine. I obviously this harness that came off the mower, the 2008 mower, the YTS 3000, I didn't care about, so I ran it directly into that plug. And so I got my magneto. I got everything running on this thing, man. It ran whenever it was in the old mower, and I was super stoked and excited about it. And I started dumping a bunch of gas down the carb, and it wouldn't run. It wouldn't run. So I'm like, dude, there's no way. There must be some issue of some sort. So I'm checking. I'm like, oh, it's sucking air. It's doing this, doing that. I'm trying to. Fuel pump's working. I checked that. It wouldn't make any sense to me. I'm like, dude, why is this thing not freaking firing? Dumping gas directly down it. I took a spark plug I had laying around. Saw it sitting there arcing on both sides off. It didn't make any sense to me. Fuel, air, spark. Why is it not running? You know what I mean? So I just kept brainstorming. Finally figured out the issue to that. We put diesel fuel in that gas jug for my heater over the winter whenever we were working on some of these trucks and stuff I've been flipping. And so I was putting diesel fuel down the carb. No wonder it didn't run. So after I figured that out, I went and got gas and everything and sucked everything out of the intake and carb I could, and it still wouldn't run. So I'm like, okay, put some gas in the tank. It still wouldn't run. I sat there and cranked it, and it was shooting out of the fuel pump. So I'm like, dude, it's the carburetor. I'm about to clean a carburetor. I pulled that solenoid at the bottom of the carb, and it was just crusty, rusty, dusty. I think I actually have it in the trash here still. Yeah, I'm not digging for it. I swept. So I found it. It was just dusty, crusty. It wouldn't move. It was seized. Luckily, I had one brand new off of a carburetor. I pulled off another machine. Put it on there. Dude, this thing fired right up on its own power. Cool. So I cleaned up this harness. I zip tied everything back because I had to tear it all back down again to do some of this wire diag to get it to run in here and tricking some stuff. But I mean, dude, this thing barely fits in here. It's literally insane. This is like a 0-turn motor in this in this little lawn tractor, It's like a mower resto mod. It's so cool to me. I need to tighten up, you know, the work light, stuff like that. I zip tied the grill back on because I was popping wheelies on this thing. Literally with a stock engine, I was popping wheelies on this thing. Stock pulleys, stock everything. I had a overhead valve, 1998 Briggs & Stratton 14.5 I got for my buddy, and I put it in this mower, mowed with it all season this year, or last year, which would have been 2022, all summer long. And I figured out you could pop wheelies with it, throw it in reverse and just pop it forward, man. This thing would lift the front end right up with the deck on it and everything. It was crazy. So I broke the grill, so I zip tied it back up on there. As far as the exhaust goes and everything, I don't know if you can see. I took the exhaust and it had a little like U shape on it, so it goes doon, doon, doon. And I cut it with a grinder because I don't have a welder or torch here yet. So cut it with a grinder so that way it bend on both corners, flattened it out, and then I basically just sandwiched it in there with some fender washers. And I used the factory screws. So I got the jack on it right now, so I'm getting ready to put the deck back on it. But I got the factory screws in there. So that's basically all I've done to it now. I mean, it's freaking badass. I can't wait to put the deck on and actually hear it run. I was having issues. The minute I took the jumper cables off this thing, it would die. That battery's literally shot. It won't hold a charge at all whatsoever. So you obviously have to have 12 volts going to that solenoid, you know, or it's going to die. So that's what I was having issues with. I still need to do something with this park brake and this hydrostatic relief switch and everything on it. But honestly, dude, it's just badass, man. I'm going to clean it up, wash it, get all the dust and everything off of it, and I'm going to wet sand it. I'm going to polish it, and it's going to look freaking brand new. I went through the deck already. I'm going to bend all these deals back before I put it back on because they're all just... I mean, it's an 88. It's old. It's been used for sure. Went through the deck, sharpened the blades on it. Found out it was non-serviceable, the bearings on here, but they literally had no play whatsoever, these spindles. None. So we're going back in with the old ones, the ones that were on it. But I mean, that's it. It's literally, it's ready to rock. Obviously, there's only one hood latch still, which is, you know, fine, but put this guy on here. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, it barely fits in there. It's awesome. I'm so stoked. I'm super excited. Obviously, I'm not going to be mowing with this thing. I'm actually going to be giving it to a family member that had more interest in it than I did, apparently. But yeah, it's cool. It's rad. I'm ready to mow with it tomorrow. I'm going to put this deck back on it tonight, and it's gonna go. It's gonna rock. Obviously, the only time I heard it run today, it was loud as shit, no muffler. So I'm gonna fire it up, and it's gonna be quiet. It's gonna purr like a kitten. It's just gonna be ready to rock. I'm super stoked, super excited about it. So that's it. Out.